Weary, knowing tone. We've all been there. The argument is over, you're staring into the bathroom mirror, and 3 hours too late, your brain delivers the perfect comeback. The internet loves to promise a solution to this. You've probably seen the videos offering battle-tested psychological hacks guaranteed to help you crush your opponents and dominate any room. Getting that instant verbal knockout feels great in the heat of the moment. But when you treat every disagreement like a war to be won, you set yourself up for massive failures in real life. This raises a practical question. Do these aggressive debate tactics actually change anyone's mind? There is a wide gap between genuinely persuading a person to see your point of view and simply bullying them until they stop talking. When you focus entirely on dominating the debate, you trigger a hidden cost. You might technically win the argument, but you end up deeply alienating the person you're talking to. We are going to audit 6 of the most popular argument strategies currently being taught. We need to separate toxic manipulation from practical communication. Mastering a discussion means calculating the real-world return on your investment. You have to weigh the absolute value of being right against the long-term value of the relationship. Let's map this on the trust versus triumph matrix. Every tactic gets graded on persuasiveness on the y-axis and relationship damage on the x-axis. We start top left. These de-escalators offer high persuasiveness with almost zero collateral damage. The first tool here is the agreement trick. When someone attacks your idea, you intentionally concede a minor point and agree with them first. By agreeing, you redirect their aggressive energy. Their brain is braced for a fight, and when you give them agreement instead, the confusion forces them to drop their guard and actually listen to your next sentence. The trade-off is entirely internal. To pull this off, you have to actively suppress your own ego and allow yourself to look momentarily agreeable when you really want to fight back. The second de-escalator is the question trap, a technique pulled straight from the smartest guy in ancient history, Socrates. Instead of telling an opponent they have the facts wrong, you ask innocent, targeted questions. You let them talk until they trip over the logical flaws in their own argument. These de-escalators work because people rarely resist their own conclusions. They convince themselves, granting you the win while entirely preserving mutual respect. Moving to the top right quadrant, we hit structure hacks. These maintain high persuasion but introduce moderate relationship damage. The most common is the magic word swap, replacing the accusatory, "you're being ridiculous," with a subjective, "I feel frustrated." Shifting the focus to your internal state forces the conversation away from personal attacks and keeps the immediate focus on the problem at hand. But there is a catch. If you overuse these carefully curated phrases, you start to sound like a corporate HR manual. People pick up on the script, and you come off as highly insincere. The next structure hack is the rule of 3. This mandates grouping your reasons, examples, or benefits into specific triplets. Human brains have a weird quirk where we view items grouped in 3s as perfectly complete and meticulously prepared. 1 reason feels weak, but 3 feels definitive. Structure hacks artificially boost your perceived authority in a room, but they demand heavy mental bandwidth to formulate on the fly, and leaning on them too hard will slowly erode your genuine authenticity. Down in the bottom right corner, we hit the danger area. These are the bulldozers, low genuine persuasion and extremely high relationship damage. First up in this zone is the information bomb. The mechanics are simple. When challenged, you flood the opponent with rapid-fire statistics, failure rates, market data, and expert citations all at once. The goal is cognitive shutdown. You hit them with so many disparate facts that their brain can't process a response, forcing them to concede simply because they are outgunned. There is an obvious flaw in this logic. Forcing an opponent into silence is not the same thing as changing their mind. The listener leaves the interaction feeling bullied and overwhelmed, permanently damaging any long-term trust you had built. Then we have the ultimate bulldozer tactic, the conversation killer. This involves waiting patiently for an opponent to overextend themselves, spotting the obvious logical flaw, and delivering a perfectly timed mic drop insult to shut them down. Let's be honest, pulling this off gives an intoxicating rush. You instantly look dominant, smart, and fully in control of the room. The harsh reality is that this move completely and violently severs the relationship. When you humiliate someone in front of their peers, they are never going to willingly collaborate with you again. Bulldozer tactics are actual failures of communication. They are toxic shortcuts that win the immediate battle, but guarantee you lose the war. Knowing the tactics is only half the equation. You decide when to deploy them based on the specific person in front of you. Let's start with the conflict-averse beginner. Your goal is simply surviving disagreements with partners without raising your voice. For this profile, rely exclusively on the agreement trick and word swaps to safely de-escalate and maintain the peace. Next is the professional optimizer. You need to pitch ideas and defend projects in a corporate boardroom. In this environment, utilize the rule of three and question traps. They aggressively project competence without making outright enemies out of your colleagues. These communication tools are entirely context-dependent. Firing off a highly structured boardroom debate tactic during a disagreement with your spouse is a recipe for disaster. There is one final category, the hostile troll. Bulldozer tactics should be strictly reserved for individuals you never intend to speak to again. True persuasion is not about dominating a room or racking up points. It is about strategically guiding an opponent to a shared conclusion. Choose your argument tactics based on the relationship you want tomorrow, not the ego boost you want today.